For most of my adult life, I have felt doubly lonely. That's the feeling you get when there are two things that are true about you, but you work really hard to keep them separate. It'd be really cool if I was like a secret agent, but I'm not. Instead, what it means is in any kind of given situation, I'm bringing part of myself to that conversation. And then if the situation changes, I'm bringing a different part. And so what that means is, at the end of the day, whoever I'm interacting with is not really getting the full me, and to me, that actually feels lonely. Let me try to explain with two sets of data. See, I'm a scientist, so I'm kind of comfortable with data. In fact, I'm an organic chemist, which means I love to think about molecules. Like, who doesn't, right? Like, why does that always get a laugh? So I haven't taught organic chemistry in a little while today, so you guys, class, get a little bit of that teaching energy. Like my classes, we're going to start with a quiz. Okay, 2 questions. First question, it's just about a molecule. I want those of you in this room to think of the molecule DNA. And now I need somebody to tell me what's the shape of that molecule. Just yell it out. Lots of you knew it. That's right, the double helix. I also would have given partial credit for twisted ladder. So that's an iconic structure that many people know. I'm sure you can imagine that shape in your mind right now. But did you know that we have never seen the double helix of DNA before? DNA, as far as molecules go, is actually quite large, but the molecule itself is far too small to be seen with the human eye, even with high-end microscopes. Only now, with this really advanced technique called cryo-EM, are we able to see its rough outline. But we have known the structure of DNA for 72 years. So 3 scientists, James Watson, Francis Crick, and Rosalind Franklin, acquired a set of data. And then they solved that data, lots of math, and basically the double helix that we all know is the solution to a lot of their equations. Now they published that data and we all trust it, and of course it's true. DNA really is a double helix, even though no one has ever seen it. Okay, second question, second set of data. This one's a story problem. Those are always popular. And I'm just going to start by reciting the quote-unquote story. Abraham begat Isaac. Isaac begat Jacob. Jacob begat Judah and his brethren. Judah begat Pharez and Zerah of Tamar. Pharez begat Hezron. Hezron begat Ram. Ram begat Aminadab. I can do more. Does anyone recognize that data set? The lineage of Jesus. Those are the first few verses of the first chapter of the first book of the Christian New Testament. It's a genealogy of Jesus of Nazareth traced through 47 names all the way back to Abraham, like that Abraham. Now, it's impossible for us to know if that's accurate. But I think we all know that millions upon millions of people believe it to be true. You see, that's the point. We all believe things we can't see, whether it's DNA or an ancient genealogy. Much of what you and I know to be true is actually wrapped up in trust. So those 2 sets of data kind of represent faith and science. I think many of us know they have had a tumultuous history, right? Most notably, Galileo was labeled a heretic and nearly excommunicated from the church because he accurately described the nature of the solar system. To this day, there's still much disagreement between the 2 fields. Numerous studies have shown that as belief in Holy Scriptures increases, so does distrust of scientific truths. And so that's where this all becomes personal. For most of my career, I've had an on-again, off-again side project of trying to communicate science to communities of faith. But I've got to admit, it's been much more off than on. You see, when I'm in kind of academic, scholarly, scientific circles, I just don't really talk much about my faith. And when I'm at church, I'm really reluctant to talk about science. I've actually found that religious communities can be pretty unforgiving about stuff like that. And so if at church someone kind of brings up a sciencey topic and everyone looks at me, I just work really hard to change the conversation. But that all came to a head during the pandemic. As many of you may remember, there was a crisis of misinformation that was accompanying the epidemic. And that crisis was particularly acute in evangelical Christian spaces. So I decided to do what I could. I made a video, like zero production quality, just me standing in my office here on campus, trying to explain to my friends and family the science behind the mRNA vaccines and trying to kind of put it all in a Christian context. And I got to admit, as I hit publish, I was terrified. Like, you see, so much of my identity is wrapped up in my faith, my family, and in the church. I was genuinely scared that I'd be ostracized. But then something kind of surprising happened. My cousin, who's a pastor of a huge church in Texas, vouched for me. He shared the video with his whole congregation. I have another friend who is a missionary in South Korea. I ended up on a Zoom call with his congregation explaining the science behind the vaccines and then also answering questions about the intersection of my faith and my science. Now, it wasn't all positive. The YouTube comment section is the YouTube comment section. And my kids actually got in some online arguments with some of the commenters. It was kind of sweet. They were, trying to defend their dad. But it was also an opportunity to kind of reinforce the Christian ethic of turning the other cheek. See, those commenters, they didn't know me from Adam, or Abraham, for that matter. To them, I was just another guy on the internet with a video. Like, why would they trust me? So that experience led me here. 4 years ago, I made a video trying to explain to communities of faith that scientists are good, honest, hardworking people, trying hard to solve complex problems. Today, I'm kind of making the complementary video, trying to explain that communities of faith are full of good, honest, hardworking people, and their skepticism of science is to be expected. You see, we all believe in things we can't see. DNA, black holes, love. And truth is intricately intertwined with trust. For those of us that want to communicate science broadly, particularly to communities of faith, we would do well to take a personal approach. Our degrees and data don't stand a chance against respect and relationships. Finally, if you're like me and you feel doubly lonely, struggling to keep two parts of yourself from intersecting. For me, that was my identity as a scientist and my identity as a man of faith. For you, it might be something completely different. But those two streams of truth intersect in you, and that's a gift for such a time as this. Thanks.